My favorite to work on. Honestly, the my favorite project to work on is the one that I'm working on now.
Ooh, can you tell us?
Um, yeah, I can tell you a little bit about it.
Spoiler alert.
So I am currently developing a show with one of my closest friends. I've known her since we were in middle school. And for me, that's like kind of striking because middle school is probably like the darkest time for me.
Mm.
And we life goes on and you kind of go down your different paths, and like people that you were close to in middle school and high school, you go off to college and it's like whatever, you never see them again. She went off to New York, and it just like we just always stayed very, very close. And to me, that always stuck. I was like, oh, that seems very important, and it's nice to have those friendships in your life. And so you fast forward like a decade, and now we are both in Los Angeles, and we've both gone through all these different experiences. We're still obviously very close, but we have this message that we want to share with the world. And so the show that we're developing is called Very Human.
And when you say
And
show, is it TV show? Like what type of show per se?
I would consider it like a talk show,
Talk show.
but not your typical talk show. Because again, like being who we are, like we want to make it as creative as a project as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And so basically, especially now, like what I think is really important for people to understand or maybe indulge in more is understanding themselves and figuring out the best ways to do so, because not everybody knows how to do that. And not, like there's levels to it as far as
Yeah.
um understanding who you are and allowing yourself to be who you are. Like that's not an easy thing. And with society today, there are so many different things that are distracting you and preoccupying you from what your human experience purpose is. And your human experience purpose is to understand what it means to be a soul and to be evolving. But with all this shit that's happening with like they created politics, they created sports and all this shit, like again, there's a lot of preoccupations. Like when you ask people like what do you do for your job? Like what's your occupation? Like what are you busy occupied doing
Mm-hmm.
while you're not searching for yourself or understanding yourself?
Yeah.
Um
Dropping
and
all the
so
quotes today.
our show that we're developing touches on all these different we're going to be talking to a lot of different people and having guests on the show and talking about topics that range from like spiritual awakenings to what it's like to date in this time, what um, what hindrances and benefits there are of social media, just topics that people can relate to. But in essence, like we want to be able to open people's minds and understand that, help them understand that there's a lot to understand.
That's deep.
And the more that you understand, the more I, I think just the more meaning that you can pull into your everyday,
Mm-hmm.
and the more awareness that you can have within yourself and what you do. It was very easy to get like go through the motions and kind of feel like you aren't working towards anything or you don't know
Mm-hmm.
where you're going in your life. And
I relate
so
to that. I
yeah,
definitely
so
relate to that.
our hopes are that people will watch the show and have things that they take away that make them consider life a little differently. Hopefully,
Mm.
in a more positive way.
Yeah, okay. That's dope. That was a nice little teaser for Very Human on the Paul and Pals podcast.